Today I'm doing my March wrap-up. It's a bit late, but better late than never. And the first book that I read in March was Queen of Air and Darkness by Cassandra Clare, which is the third book in the Dark Artificer series, and it's in the Shadowhunters world. So it's YA urban fantasy. And I read it as an audiobook. And I buddy read it with Libby over on Libby Gregory. And I gave it 4 stars. The Dark Artificers is not my favorite Shadowhunters series. That's the Infernal Devices. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I feel like the beginnings of those books are quite slow, but then at the end they pick up. Yeah, this series is about Julian and Emma and demon hunting and stuff. After that I read a book for school, and it was The Metamorphosis by Franz Kafka. It's about a guy that turns into some sort of insect, and it's an adult book. Guess it's like a modern classic maybe. And gave it 3 stars. It's very strange because the main character turns into insect, but his family is also weird, and yeah. You could say that him turning into an insect was a metaphor for him being depressed or something, but yeah, it was strange. And after that I read Heartstopper Volume 3 by Alice Oseman, and I read this on my computer because it's a webcomic. So I read it for free on Tapa's website, and it's a YA contemporary graphic novel. It's a male romance, and it's extremely cute. In this one they go to Paris with their school, and yeah. I gave it 5 stars. I just love Heartstopper so much. Nick and Charlie are adorable. And I love the art style and all the side characters, and yeah, it's just great. It makes me happy. It's very heartwarming. So yeah, 5 stars. After that I read a book with my book club that we sadly never got to talk about because our library cancelled all the activities. But it was A Street Cat Named Bob by James Bowen. It's a non-fiction book, and I went back and forth between the audiobook and the physical book. It's about a guy, and he's a drug addict, and then he finds a cat in his building, and he realizes that it's a homeless cat, and he adopts the cat, and it changes his life, and he's a street musician, and yeah, it's James Bowen's real life, and I gave it 3 stars. It was very repetitive in going to the street corner and playing his music and feeding his cat and stuff. Not a lot happens in it, but it was still enjoyable. And it was cute, the relationship he had with his cat. After that, I read The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood, which I read for school, and it's an adult dystopian book. It's a modern classic, I guess, and it's a feminist dystopian where most people have become infertile, and the women who aren't are forced to help some families have a kid. So the government is, it's kind of hard to read, because the government is forcing them to have sex with these men so they can have a baby with them, and then they're shipped off to another family and helping them with the same thing. And yeah, it was very interesting and very horrifying. They put women through in that book. I gave it 4 stars. It's the wrong word to say I enjoyed it because it was hard to read. But it was very interesting, and the world was very fascinating. The characters were also interesting, and yeah. Then I read Sadie by Courtney, which is a YA mystery book, and I listened to this on audio, and the audiobook is amazing. The book features a podcast, and in the book it sounds like a real podcast. It's following a girl named Sadie, and her little sister was murdered. So she runs away, and she is trying to find the murderer. And then there's this podcast that is trying to find Sadie. And yeah, it was really good. I gave it 4 stars. It was also kind of hard to read. Because of murder and stuff. Yeah, but I really recommend the audiobook. Then I read Ghost of the Shadow Market, which is also a Shadowhunters book, by Cassandra Clare, Kelly Link, Sarah Reese Brennan, Maureen Johnson, and Robin Wasserman. I probably read this as well with Libby. It's a YA urban fantasy, anthology. I listened to one of the stories on audiobook, and I gave it 3.5 stars. I guess all the stories kind of involve Gem Carstairs from the Infernal Devices, but it also is about a lot of other people. It was short stories set in the Shadowhunters universe. Then I read God's Grave by J. Kristoff, which is an adult high fantasy book. It's the sequel to Nevernight, and I love this series. It's so great. I still have to read the third one, but yeah, I gave it 5 stars. The series is about a girl named MCGUIRE, and she is trying to get revenge for her family's deaths. So she goes to an assassin school called the Red Church, and she is trying to become an acolyte, it's called, because not all the people who apply for the school are chosen as their assassins. So yeah, and she has a shadow cat right there in Mr. Kindly. So yeah, she's Darkin, it's called. She can control shadows. And I just think this series is great. I am eager to read the third one. It's quite funny, this series, and it's very murdery. And yeah. Yeah, I love this book. Then I read Beneath the Sugar Sky by MCGUIRE, which is the third book in the Wayward Children series. The first book is Every Heart a Doorway, and it's about children who go through magical doors into different worlds, and then when they come back they can adapt, so they go to a special school. And then in second book, Down Among the Sticks and Bones, you go into a specific world, and in the third one, this one, Beneath Sugar Sky, it's another world. But in Every Heart a Doorway, there's also a murder mystery, and has a lot of queer characters in it, the series. Yeah. But I didn't love this one as much as the first two. I gave both of them 5 stars, and I gave this one 4 stars. And I listened to it on audiobook. Yeah, I don't know if I really didn't like the world it was set in as much as before. It was a very cotton candy world, so I would describe it. And the last book I read in March was Children of Virtue and Vengeance by Tomi Adeyemi. It's the sequel to Children of Blood and Bone. And it's a YA fantasy, and it's West African inspired. In this one, you follow Celie, and she is trying to bring back magic. Her people are oppressed because they are magical, but now the magic has disappeared, and she's trying to bring it back to take back the power for people. And yeah. So that was the 10 books I read in March. And I read 2 5 stars, which were Heartstopper Volume 3 and God's Grave. So those were my favorites. Thank you for watching, and like and subscribe if you want to, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!